Hello and welcome. I am Andy William Mackai, or Mackai Lorien. Please excuse my shabby, drabby state, as it is quite hot. As for the shabbiness, I felt it added to today's topic. My personal decor aside, you may have heard that there's a new Mass Effect game in the works. And as exciting as that was to hear, let's not kid ourselves, as BioWare hasn't exactly been presenting us with once-in-a-lifetime experiences like they used to. BioWare, more like Bio was. Ha ha ha. All of that being the case, I feel like now is a good time to look back on the last time BioWare graced us with a Mass Effect game over 8 years ago in Mass Effect Andromeda, and seeing it for what it was and what it is today before the new game comes out, as those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it, or something like that. For this analysis, I will be going over everything I believe makes a modern video game a modern video game. That being the story, the characters, the gameplay, the music, and the overall presentation. That means polish and bugs and all that good stuff. And I'll be going over it in that order, starting now. Mass Effect Andromeda's story is what I have heard described as average, and while that claim is up to personal interpretation, I personally believe Mass Effect Andromeda's story suffers from something far worse than being average. See if you can pick up on this something as I subtly point it out while going over the story's plot. Gian Garson, an ultra-rich Elon Musk type, wants to colonize unexplored space, as bajillionaires tend to do, I suppose. She doesn't half-ass this plan of hers either by sending a few dozen people into space. She manages to get over 100,000 people on this plan of hers, all of whom are experts in their respective fields. Scientists, fighters, explorers, readers, man, talk about a brain drain. The destination for this expedition being the nearest galaxy to our Milky Way galaxy, the Andromeda Galaxy. Hence the name Andromeda Initiative. More specifically, they aim for the Helios cluster in Andromeda due to its high potential to sustain life, with dubbed Golden Worlds. Then, in the year 2185, the initiative has officially started when they launch 5 arcs, each with their own race of peoples on them. Them being Turians, Salarians, Asari, Quarians, and of course, humans. With 1,000 or so Krogan to be the muscle, just in case. Each of those arcs has a pathfinder whose job it is to find a place their species and the initiative as a whole can call home. Of course, getting to Andromeda without a Mass Effect relay, even with faster-than-light travel, is gonna take a long time. 600 years to be exact. In order to make sure anyone but the Asari and a few Krogans make it there in that time, they cryogenically freeze everyone and put them in cryopods for the duration of the journey. And stop. As we know from our own attempts to cryogenically freeze people here on Earth, it takes energy to sustain a cryopod, with 20,000 per arc just how can they possibly make it to Andromeda without the arcs running out of power a few years into the journey? The Quarians, who live on spaceships after they lost their home planet, have to replace stuff all the time on the flotilla, and that's only after 300 years. You can't convince me that the technology was simply better, because we know what the technology was in the year 2185. We saw it in the year 2185 with the events of Mass Effect 3 take place. But whatever, moving on. 600 years later, and they make it to Andromeda. Only to run into a cosmic space fart the moment they do. And stop! This happened after they woke up. In fact, your character had enough time to drink a cup of coffee. And don't ask why he's censored. If a random grunt was woken up, I'm more than sure the captain was too. Or the other thing that could move the ship if it was on a collision course. And I'll get into the thing later. But moving on. Enter Alec Ryder, the human's pathfinder. A former N7 badass who is determined to find out just what is going on alongside his pathfinding team. He gives us an inspirational speech. Then they enter their shuttles to descend to Habitat 7, one of the golden worlds that was supposed to be for the humans to settle on. Unfortunately, they get hit by a bolt of lightning as they were descending and have to go down the quick way. Upon our graceful landing, we find out that this golden world's atmosphere can't sustain a human life like we were told it could, and has crazy weather and floating rocks. Strange. The pathfinding team, now scattered, needs to regroup with each other and the pathfinder. But that won't be easy, as Habitat 7 is already occupied with hostile aliens that shoot us on sight, as well as 400-year-old unknown alien technology. I would say that it's awfully convenient that you found either of those things, especially as it happened to be within walking distance of the place you randomly crash landed at on a planet the size of Earth, but I'll let it slide, as there's a reason for it. The first two, not the last one. We eventually regroup with everyone and the Pathfinder, and he has a plan on how to stop the hostile aliens as well as the crazy weather on this planet at the same time by waving his hand about, and it works somehow. Alec Ryder is ultimately the hero humanity needs for this new frontier. He has the knowledge, he has the experience, he has a plan. He has everything he needs to be that guy that can fix all of our problems. Too bad for him, that's exactly why he needs to go. Because following the exploits of an older, more charismatic character makes for a boring story. I'm looking at you, Leon. That's why Ryder Sr. gets shafted. In his place, we get to control one of his far less experienced and far less charismatic spawns. Scott Ryder, a skinny pretty boy, or Sarah Ryder, this thing. Or, in our case, a clown! The other Ryder sibling gets placed into a plot coma when we hit that space fart, so they don't get in the way of our rising greatness. And thanks to Alec Ryder's final act of nepotism, we are now the Pathfinder instead of his actual replacement, Cora. Normally, I would say we're all doomed, but it doesn't really matter in this case, as Alec Ryder's final act was not only to name us Pathfinder, but to pass along the biggest narrative cheating device I have seen in any game ever, the Artificial Intelligence Simulated Adaptive Matrix, or SAM for short. Here's a little of what Sam can do. Boost your physical, biotic, and technology powers, reconstruct crime scenes from a year ago, talk to you inside your own head, can stay connected to you anywhere, can translate centuries-old unknown alien language, and can use technology never seen before in mere moments. Most of what I just said was what we see Alec use it for. It can do other absurd things we'll get into, but basically it can do just about anything because the plot needs it to. But only our Sam. The other Sams in the initiative aren't so potent because Alec Ryder made Sam and he basically turbo boosted the thing, but only for members of the Ryder family. But in short, anyone who has this particular Sam AI can be the Pathfinder no problems as long as they somehow get access to it. It doesn't matter who it is or if they got the Pathfinder training or not. As long as they have it, they are set. This Sam AI is so powerful. The only things more powerful than it is this game's MacGuffin and the power of plot itself. Here's an example. All the arcs have a Sam on them, but our super special Sam was aboard the arc that hit the spacebar and could do nothing about it because plot. Later in the game, it has no problem detecting a blockade while traveling faster than light. But the space fart? No, that's too much because it was just sitting there. How was an AI this sophisticated even allowed to be made in the first place in a universe that shits itself when anyone says the words artificial intelligence? Because of what happened to the Quarians. Is this not what specters are for? So that it doesn't happen? Speaking of Quarians, their arc has a Sam too. Do they know? Their captain does, and he doesn't seem happy about it. Plus, the Quarian Pathfinder has one speaking to them in their head. They must have had a heart attack when that happened. I could go on and on about the implications of Sam's mere presence, but for the sake of this video not being 10 hours long, moving on. This is when we see this very generic looking alien fellow, who I'm sure we'll be good friends with, and is in no way a stereotypical evil villain for the sake of being evil. Clown Rider then wakes up after dying to then deliver onto us the most heart-rending speech about his father's tragic passing.
Honestly, we weren't close. I never really knew him growing up.
Beautiful. We then move on, as Habitat 7 was a bust. Our next destination is the initiative's main command center, the Nexus, a 16-kilometer-long space station that was launched across galaxies to be here a year before us. And I'll be getting into that huge plot point that is the Nexus later. Aboard the Nexus, we find out all is not well. As none of the 4 other arcs have shown up, all 7 of the Golden Worlds are inhospitable. They suffered a mutiny by the head of security, who is now the leader of a band of exiles. All the Krogan but one have abandoned them. The 2 desperate attempts to colonize Eos, one of the Golden Worlds, ended in complete failure, and Jean Garson is dead, along with all the other original initiative leaders. In their place, however, we have the replacements of the replacements of the replacements 7 times over, whose first act upon seeing a Pathfinder after a year of pure failure is to crash out on them for something out of their control.
Ryder?
It's Pathfinder.
Ryder, we're starving here. If we don't get a foundation of outposts to feed the initiative, we might as well be 600 years dead. Alec promised a lot. None of it panned out. That's what you're up against. Why people won't trust you. Why I don't trust you. Prove me wrong.
You know you're dealing with a sad bunch of morons when the Krogan, who isn't even supposed to be one of the leaders, is the voice of reason. They don't even like each other at all. All they do is bicker and fail. That's why when we got to the Nexus, they were not expecting us. Even though we sent them a permission to dock, they thought it was a malfunction because they had basically just given up at that point. They had no plans, no hope, no nothing. Failures. Complete failures. And now you're here. The only Pathfinder to show up. So now it's your job to fix all their problems while they just do the usual. Nothing. Listen to this shit.
You need to increase the viability of the planet so we can establish an outpost. Then we can bring more colonists out of stasis. The more colonists we have, the more resources we can gather to support the Nexus. Everything depends on it. There are 6 worlds we hope to settle.
Okay, but you said every planet you found is unlivable. So, how do I...
A good Pathfinder would relish the challenge of solving it.
They expect you to magically terraform planets, as if something so stupidly convenient exists. We are now off to Eos, the golden world that the initiative failed to colonize twice to magically fix it. But not before Clown Rider serenades us with his first big speech.
I never planned to be Pathfinder. I don't know what's out there. But we're the Milky Way's best and brightest. We can do this.
Woo. On Eos, we encounter a scavenger stealing initiative property that for some reason Ryder, a Pathfinder for the initiative, doesn't give a f*** about. This guy even has the gall to sell you what he stole. I'm pretty sure Shepard chewed someone's ass off for less than that.
You have something to tell me, Cole?
Some guys at the spaceport were running a small smuggling ring, nothing major. In exchange for a cut of the profits, we let them store packages in our sheds.
You greedy bastard. You weren't running for your life. You were running to check on your merchandise.
This is a reoccurring theme in this game. People from the initiative constantly go into business for themselves, only to be given a mild, "Don't do that again, my guy," and brought back into the fold. Like this guy, who tried to control dangerous alien technology. Listen to Ryder's response.
These remnant could plow our fields, protect us from the Ket. You control them, why shouldn't we?
How many people need to get hurt before you stop this?
Pathfinder's got a point, Jennings.
Fine. But you can't protect us all the time, Pathfinder. Out here, we need every edge we can get.
If he got away with it once, why wouldn't he try it again? Whatever. The scavenger here is responsible for a power outage in the settlement. The reason he did that is because the Ket, the aliens that attacked us on Habitat 7, are the main perpetrators as to why settlement attempts on Eos failed. And with the power back on, they will come back here. We convince the thief, kick alien booty, find a car, and start to explore the area. and I kid you not, find the same unknown alien technology from Habitat 7 15 seconds away from the settlement. Seconds! For f***'s sake, they just so happened to build their first settlement less than a mile away from alien architecture on a planet-sized object. Bullshit. Moving on. Ryder, thanks to Sam, is able to reactivate the alien technology, only to get tackled to the ground by a random Asari and stop. This is PB. She is the closest thing we get to an expert on remnant technology without the help of a super AI in her head. Later in the game, she makes a remnant bot companion for us and one for herself. Just think about that for a second. Imagine if in the original Mass Effect, while we were going to recover the Prothean beacon on Eden Prime in the beginning of the game, Liara, a Prothean expert, just so happened to be there. Wouldn't that be just the biggest coincidence ever? Well, that's basically what just happened here. Back in Coincidence Land, we find out that there are 2 more of these remnant ruins that need activating to do a something. PB forces us to go along with us, and for some reason, Ryder still doesn't give a f*** that technically PB is a rebel to the initiative who shouldn't even be here in the first place. After activating the 2 remnant things, a central location is unlocked. What's there though? A giant remnant vault that has the ability to terraform planets. Isn't that nice? That's just what we needed for EOS and its high radiation problems. We can now set up our first settlement, and we get to choose between a science base or a military base. And while the game would try to fool you into believing it's a major decision for the game going forwards, it really isn't. Choose whatever. Now that Ryder, and by Ryder I mean Sam, has done the impossible by interacting with highly sophisticated alien technology to Deus Ex Machina an entire planet, the leaders of the initiative are lining up one by one to kiss your ass, doing a complete 180 from before. Politics, what can I tell ya? Terraforming EOS's atmosphere isn't the only thing we got from the vault, however. We also learn of other vaults on other planets that can do the same thing like the vault on EOS, making the uninhabitable Golden Worlds viable again. I mean, why not at this point, right? The Nexus leaders, now firmly behind us, give us the permission to look for these other vaults.
Though with Ark still missing, this could be a chance for Ryder to search for them. Yes, I think that's best. You have my permission.
I wasn't really asking for it.
Of course. I support that kind of enthusiasm.
Right.
While they do the usual in helping us. Nothing. This is when we encounter the blockade I mentioned earlier, along with, who's that? Oh, the alien fellow from before, who I'm sure is going to welcome us aboard for a grand feast. That's why they've surrounded us and are using a tractor beam to pull us towards them. Sam, however, isn't so keen on this, as he is AI and can't eat. Sam then initiates an emergency escape from the Ket fleet that just so happens to land us on a planet with a remnant vault. But that's to be expected at this point. What isn't is that Sam's flying off in a random direction to escape certain death also landed us on a planet with a neutral alien species. These are the Angarans. They have been at war with the Ket for decades now. The fact that they didn't just blast us out of the sky the moment they see us makes them far more compassionate than we will ever be. Especially considering that the only other sort from our galaxy they've seen are the traitors who go around stealing shit and killing everything that moves. This is also where we meet Jal, the only real important companion plot-wise, as he acts as a bridge between us and the Angarans. He has personal space issues. The Angarans don't really welcome us in with open arms, understandably. That's a problem for us, as we need to get into the vault here on their planet, Aya. This is when our objective changes from fixing planets to gaining trust with the Angarans, and Jal points us in the right direction. 1. Help the scientists on Havarl, and 2. Destroy the Ket base on Vold. These missions do not matter to the overall plot, so I'll be skipping them. Back with Ephra, the Ket resistance leader, he is about to launch a super secret mission on Viold to invade a super Ket base, not to be confused with the previous mission to destroy a Ket base on Viold. It's different now, as the Monshea, who is the Angarian version of our Super Jesus, got captured by the Ket and taken to this Super Ket base. And that's bad, because she is the only one who can take us to the vault on Aya. We need her. Ephra, however, doesn't want us to be on this mission, because why the would he? Thankfully for us, the Super Ket base has a super invincible shield that the Angarans can't possibly get past. If only they had some sort of plot device that could do anything. But we do, in the form of Sam. We tell Ephra as such, and he immediately caves in. We then join the Angarans in one of their shuttles that flies us directly behind the super base, like right behind it. We didn't even get out a mile from it and walk. They just dropped us there, and the Ket completely missed us. Now, I want you to see this for a point I need to make later. Did you see how easily Sam got past that barrier? Good. Keep that in mind. We fight our way past the Ket soldiers, and we naturally get noticed by the boss of the base, who is speaking to the boss, who is this guy, who is that? Oh, our alien friend from before, who was the one who was captured Space Jesus. I'm starting to think he's not what he seems to be. This is also the point where we see the big twist of the game. You ready? The Ket can transform other species into Ket. We've seen this before, twice, with the husks and the collectors. Jal's broken up about it though, poor guy. We move on, fight the boss, save Space Jesus, and get into a very bizarre argument with the boss Ket, who we know for a fact now is a brainwashed Ket slave. Why even listen to it? I would have shot it the moment it got back up. Anyway, the reason we're even talking to it is so that the game can give us the obligatory choice of the mission. That also doesn't matter to the overall plot. Destroy the Super Ket base while killing all the captured Angarans, or save the captured Angarans and leave the Super Base intact for the Ket to retake it and potentially brainwash more Angarans. This isn't a choice as much as the game wants you to think it is because of Sam. They made it far too easy for us to get in. We and 4 more Angarans, for a total of 7 people, took over the whole Ket base. What is stopping Ryder from doing it again? Honestly, if I was a Ket, I would just take my space concentration camps off-world at this point. An easy choice. But what's surprising is who chooses the nuclear option. Space Jesus!
No. Even if I die here, this place must be destroyed.
We can come back to destroy it. Let's free these here now.
If your plan fails, the Ket will simply fill this place again.
With respect, our compatriots are also here. Our fighters, our scientists, our strength.
That felt really out of character for her. Sure, you could argue that she's seeing the forest for the trees and not the tree, but would the Angarans really hail her as this virtuous paragon if she was willing to just massacre all of the Angarans here? I don't think so. That makes more sense from a military leader like Ephra than it does her. Anyway, we make the pointless choice, thankfully shoot the brainwashed slave and get out. Only to receive a tongue lashing from Space Jesus here.
My people have traveled so far. We'll die without a place to settle. These remnant vaults may be the key. A key to help both our species prosper.
I feel for your people in a way that you clearly do not for mine.
I'm the one who doesn't care. Me, the guy who saved hundreds of your people while you would barbecue them? F*** off, Space Jesus. After all that running around, Space Jesus finally takes us to Aya's vault, where we find out about this game's MacGuffin, the Meridian, a remnant construct that can control all the vaults it's connected to. But that's all we get. Our only lead to it is the Ket's boss, the Archon. This guy, okay? He's the bad guy, did you get it? I was just trying to make this boring piece of shit more interesting. We don't know where the Archon is though, but the guy who betrayed Space Jesus and gave her to the Romans, the Ket, might. Problem is, he got taken prisoner on Kadara, a planet where all the Initiative traders now call home. And seeing Kadara for the first time really pissed me off back in the day. How did a bunch of traitors, thieves, murderers, rebels, and thugs manage to successfully colonize a planet with nothing but the clothes on their backs, when the Initiative, with all the resources and cryogenically frozen specialists they could need, failed to do the same twice? They even have a bar here. How? Was the Eos is the first settlement in the Andromeda galaxy bullshit then? That's what they sold us on. The fact that we would be the first to do things in this game. But if you've been paying attention, any planet we go to has already been colonized. Eos doesn't count because of the Initiative's 2 attempts. I was sold a lie 8 years later, and it's still a lie. Isn't that what Alec Ryder's big speech in the beginning was about? Being the trailblazers, the first to do something?
Okay, team, listen up. I chose each of you for the Pathfinder team, not just because you're talented and passionate, but because you're dreamers.
like me. We dream of exploring the unknown, of finding the edge of the map, and then discovering what lies beyond. When people look back on this, and they will, they'll remember we didn't give up. That we kept dreaming, that our first few faltering steps in Andromeda were the beginning of everything they know. We only get one chance to be first. So, let's go make history.
This Kadara part is just a bunch of go here, speak to this guy, talk to her for the sole reason of setting up a bunch of side stories. So I'll just be skipping that. But first, here's Space Judas. We find the location of the Archon's flagship. However, it's not alone, as it has one of the 4 missing arcs with it. Arc Pachiro, the Solarian arc. The plan now changes from finding the location of the MacGuffin to finding the Solarian Pathfinder and freeing the Ark as well. Which we do, and continue on with the original mission, battling our way across the Archon's flagship until we get caught by him in one of those cliché invisible force fields. He walks up to us and gives us one of those cliché "I win" speeches, while stabbing Ryder with one of those Ket transforming devices, which Sam casually counters as he walks away like every cliché villain ever. And while he didn't know Sam could do that, it sure was nice of him not to leave any guards to watch us or kill off my 2 companions who he doesn't need for his evil villain schemes. And no, that wasn't part of his evil plan, because he said so himself when he said he saw Sam break us out. Not that he expected it. He's just making things up as he's going along. As for how Sam is able to break us out, he's been able to deduce that the force field only works on living things. So if we were dead, it wouldn't work. Luckily, Sam can kill Ryder and bring him back to life at any time it wants. No brain damage included. And that's Ryder's 2nd death. One more and he's beaten Goku. We then make our way to the Archon's room, but not before passing a Krogan cat, or a croquette, if you would, that definitely won't wake up and try and kill us. And yep, this is the Archon's room, just as bland and boring as he is. So it's a good match, but honestly, I'm surprised we don't find a rule the universe statue of himself. But what we do find is the location of the MacGuffin. That's when the Archon shows up as a hologram to taunt us, then leave. But not before hitting Ryder, where it hurts.
You didn't allow me to escape your little trap either, did you?
That wasn't you. It was the artificial intelligence in your head. I've seen what transpired in the laboratory, and now I know what makes you special.
Yeah, the game actually acknowledges it, and it's not wrong. All of Ryder's accomplishments thus far have been due to Sam. He's just been Ubering it where it needs to go so far. The croquette then wakes up and tries to kill us. And my god, is this thing a bullet sponge that can heal! Due to these qualities, it's then not a surprise I chose to abandon the Solarian Pathfinder and save the other captured krogans. There is no way I will willingly fight another croquette. But it's okay though. If there's one thing this game has taught me, is that Pathfinders are replaceable. And she was, as the Arc Pachero's captain was also next in line to be the Pathfinder. Lucky! I love it when a game has no consequences for the choices it gives me. But what I hate is when contrived bullshit happens. Because, get this, the Archon managed to get Ryder's memories when Sam killed him somehow. The only explanation we get is that he stabbed us deep. Perhaps the Archon was the true romance choice of the game all along. This is also the point where we find out his evil plan.
With Meridian,
we can transform every world in this cluster to a wasteland.
Destroy the worlds!
Of course!
Because he thinks that if he uses the power of the Meridian to destroy all habitable planets in the Helios cluster, we will all just willingly join him in becoming brainwashed cat slaves. I'm sure no one would try to fight until the bitter end now that all hope has been extinguished just for pure spite and defiance. But more importantly, we also find out here that the Archon is nothing more than a middle manager, in case you didn't think he was enough of a loser already. The chase to the Meridian is now on. We go back to the Nexus to inform leadership of the huge problem that's about to go down and get any aid from our allies that we can. And they are brave, capable, smart, handsome leaders put their differences aside and join as one for the first and last time in this game to stand against you.
Yet I have to question what we gained, provoking the Archon like this.
He had a map showing the location of Meridian. Now we have it, and a short window to get there. It's the control center for the terraforming network. If we get that working, all our problems are solved.
Based on what data? This is all alien science.
The vault on Aya suggests that Meridian is the key.
While I appreciate what you've done for our strike teams, we're not equipped for a war with the Ket. They'll be defending Meridian with everything they've got.
If we do nothing, I guarantee there's a fight coming. The Archon's already studying how to exalt us. It's not pretty.
Still, it's better to focus on the outposts. If the Ket attack, at least our people won't be in one place.
Then there's this Sam of yours. We took a chance letting AI get involved. Frankly, I'm uncomfortable with just how involved it's become. I like you, Ryder. I really do. But I can't support your plan.
For f***'s sake. I know why they did this too. They wanted to repeat the council dismissing Shepard moment from the first game. But it doesn't work here because everything the Nexus is because of Ryder and his efforts. The original council was a monolith with specters, half a dozen alien species, and thousands of years of history. But the Nexus has none of that. That just makes them look even dumber than they already do. Now that's impressive. It's also going to make the Archon look like less of a threat when a disorganized team stops him. Obviously, we ignore them. Obviously, they can't stop us because they have no real power. They are useless. This is also the point in the game where Ryder 2 wakes up from the plot coma. That means they will be needed soon. And there she is, our beautiful sister. She takes after our mother. But back with the plan team, which consists of Pathfinders you find and a random doctor. In the time you've been catching up with Ryder 2, they easily come up with a plan that will get us past the Ket ships and to the Meridian, making both your enemies and allies look like a bunch of morons. More than before. We easily get past the Ket fleet and to the Meridian, only the Meridian is not at Meridian, and now we have to go and find the Meridian. Honestly, the only parts of importance in this mission are that the Angarians were created by the remnant technology creators, the Jadans, who they themselves were in a war with an opposition. Jal seems pretty broken up about it, or not. He got past that pretty quickly. Last thing, the Meridian is the Jadan's ultimate culmination of knowledge as a species. It's not just a planet terraformer, and from what we've seen from them thus far, that is huge. Oh, and last thing, do the Ket just not have windows? Between this and the Super Ket base, I'm starting to see a real pattern here. Like, if the Kets don't see you on their scanners, you can just sneak right past them. That seems like a real critical design flaw for an army, you know? Back on ship, Tan admits that the Nexus was wrong. Yeah, no shit. But why would they say that when the mission ended in failure? They have no more proof about the Meridian than before. Well, it's because we are officially at the "and then they all teamed up to beat the bad guy" phase of the story. But first we need to find the Meridian. Again, by following a 4 centuries old space fart trail. How exactly...
An unmanned ship is at the mercy of ocean currents. Now, think of Meridian as the ship, and the Scourge as the ocean. If we can somehow predict the currents and track them, we could figure out where the ocean's taken the ship.
That's how. Makes no sense to me. I just crack it up to Sam's magic. We get to the new place that can take us to the Meridian, only it's a trap by the Archon, who gloats as we slowly perish, revealing onto us that he's been after Sam this whole time, as with Sam, he can control remnant technology and the Meridian. He couldn't do that before. And he doesn't really need us, as with our memories, he knows of another person with this Sam implant. Ryder 2. Seems like a convoluted way to get access to me. He could have had Sam if he just left a guard with us back on his flagship, but whatever. Sam's bullshit isn't quite finished yet, as he is now with Ryder 2, and they can save us remotely from the Nexus with a bring Ryder back to life button. I'm not even kidding. Ryder 2 then gets captured. And look, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but if I was Sam right now, I would do the good old kill my host trick so that the Archon doesn't get the most powerful weapon in history in his hands. Just saying. Ryder 1 is now back from the dead for the 3rd time in this game. Even Jesus did it only once. This time, however, he doesn't have Sam with him. But how is he going to use a remnant technology or boost his strength without him? Turns out it was in him all along. Fucking bullshit writing. What is this? Ryder is special now. How? Somehow. That's how. We don't even get any explanation for this. He just can now. It's all speculation. But what's not speculation is him bringing back this whole remnant ship back to life from this one random console. Even Sam had to be at a main remnant console to do the same thing. But that's the power of plot. Back with Ryder 2, the Archon gives a genetic speech to her. A human who he shouldn't give a fuck about but still feels the need to gloat to. That's when Ryder 1 shows up for a riveting back and forth.
You continue to defy your limitations. Impressive.
We're ending this, and you're not just fighting me.
That is a waste.
That's when the Archon has enough and sics his whole fleet onto us, who outnumber us 1,000,000,000 to 1. Thankfully, Alec Ryder's wise words about a wall kick it, and that causes the whole Ket fleet to fly into the space fart. All of them. Just, what is this writing? We really could have used a space fart for the Reaper invasion. All that's left now is us and him. Who will get to the Meridian first? And let me tell ya, the Meridian is no joke. I truly believe, with the little we've seen from Jadarian technology, this thing could fully fight off the Reaper invasion we see in Mass Effect 3. And that is no exaggeration. It is the single biggest construct we see in Mass Effect at a size that is bigger than our moon. 9 times bigger than the Death Star. If the Archon gets it first, he just wins. The Archon gets there first.
I can see the network. They are architects of life. You commanded nothing.
I made the cluster livable for thousands.
No. You have led your people to their deaths.
It's over. He has all the power of the Meridian at his disposal. But that's a good thing, because now we can beat him!
Scott! The Archon's pulling too much power!
Little busy!
It's all going straight through him! Shut down the interfaces, he'll have nothing to draw! You'll take Meridian out from under him!
You know, for once, I would like to see the evil villain defeated before they get their hands on the super weapon, because if we beat them with it, how is it a super weapon? And don't you dare call it anticlimactic. You wanna see anticlimactic? There! That's how he dies. 8 years later, and it's still jarring to see. We don't even get to fight him. He just floats there taunting you the whole time. The most generic lines you've heard 1,000 times before.
This is just the start, Pathfinder. Everything you love will burn.
That's the Archon. Just another generic villain for the history books, who snatches defeat from the jaws of victory, all while you dismantle anything he throws at you. Maybe the inclusion of the architect would have been a surprise if you hadn't seen one before, but you have 3 of them. This whole fight felt like one of those shitty boss fights from the mid-2000s. Holy shit. And that
we made it
line at the end, mwah, beautiful. But wait, it doesn't end there. We get one of those I'll do it myself moments from the next generic villain. But who are the mysterious others that the Archon was referring to? Just what is the space part? Who were the Jedals fighting against? What happened to the Quarian Ark? Who is the mysterious benefactor who seemingly killed Jean Garson? And what sort of political implications are there now that the humans have become the de facto most powerful species in the Andromeda galaxy thanks to the Meridian? And will Ryder's mother be cured? Find out on the next exciting episode of Mass Effect Andromeda 2. Guess we'll never find out. That's the story. A retread of Mass Effect 1's plot with a pinch of Star Wars and elevating the stakes to a higher level, making it all needlessly complicated. Mass Effect stories have always been simple. Find and stop Saren. Find the Collectors. Stop the Reapers. The story was made just getting to those goals. But in Andromeda, it's a lot of go here, do this, do that, meet them, find it, stop him, then it ends. If you've played it and then never picked it up again, of course you would think it's average, because you were just going along with the ride, while the story itself hit every single Hollywood cliche there is. But if you think about it even for a second, you can tell that this story is held together by the most convoluted, plot-convenient cliche dumb writing ever. The only reason things happen in this story is because the plot Deus Ex Machina something, or your allies up in some way, and it's up to you to deal with the fallout. And that doesn't apply to just the main story either, but all the writing in the game. Here are some examples of this. The random doctor who helped us get past the cat fleet to the non-Meridian has a side quest where she needs a math problem solved, and she asks Sam to solve it. We then give this math problem to Sam's main node location on our arc because she asked us to do that. And Sam gets hit by a virus that, if successful, would sever the link to Ryder. That is huge. If that happened, the initiative's goal of colonizing planets gets flushed down the drain, because only Sam can interact with remnant technology at this point. But that's not the problem. The problem is, when we confront her about it, she says it's not her, and we just believe her.
You think Never. I abhor violence against any life, organic or synthetic.
Then how did the virus find its way into your equations?
Perhaps my files were altered or replaced. But why? I've seen a lot of down with AI sentiment lately. Graffiti, complaints to 10. Perhaps someone took the next step.
If graffiti is the best they can do, maybe they could use some artificial intelligence.
And while it's not her, this is far too big an issue to just believe her on. At the very least, she should have been placed in a cell until we find out the truth. On Havarl, we have a problem activating the remnant vault because we just can't find it. The only person that knows where it is was an Angarian from a few hundred years ago. This is one of the few instances where Sam just can't bend the plot to fix it. But don't you worry. To find out, we get an even more bullshit solution than Sam. Because the Angarans, a race that was created artificially, not formed naturally, can remember memories from past lives.
Zorai's soul has returned and could be made to remember what it knew. But we have no contact with it.
Yes, reincarnation in Mass Effect, a sci-fi video game franchise. Oh, but it gets better. Because not only do we somehow know who the reincarnated Angaran is, this Angaran is one of the Rokar's leaders, a group of alien xenophobe extremists. To get to him, we need to kill every single one of his friends, to which he agrees to help us when we mildly insist.
My friends died for this?
I'm very sorry. I'm just trying my best to find the third monolith and save Havarl. I have an artifact or heirloom or something. I'm going to set it down, and I need you to take hold of it.
What?
Toval, this guy, the reincarnated Angaran, then does a complete 180 in character in the span of 20 minutes.
You've killed men under my charge, and now you'll crown that achievement by killing me too. And you, I know your face. Why do you help these murderers?
Ryder is an ally. He's already helped the scientist Sedar Palev.
I know, and they should be ashamed, after all we've been through with the Ket. I've learned a lot in a short time. The Rokar wants simple solutions, but nothing is ever simple or certain, is it? I wish those that were killed could have realized this. But after everything I've seen, I have to hope that they aren't lost forever.
And to close off this beautiful story, as far as I know, this is the only time the reincarnation power is used in the whole game. It never comes up again. No one even speaks about the fact that reincarnation could be a thing for them now. Insane! And now for my own personal favorite example, the side mission Contagion, in where someone manages to sneak aboard the Ark, his aunt, and wakes her up. Problem is, this aunt also just so happens to have a rare, incurable disease that can cross to other alien species and is fatal. The person who told you this wants to keep it quiet as to not cause a panic while we find her. She's roaming around the Nexus at this point. This was obviously written before the pandemic. She then steals a shuttle and flies off into space with it. A shuttle. One of these things. And she outruns us with it. Us. The Pathfinder, who's been given a state-of-the-art spaceship. Eventually, after chasing her for half a cluster, she crash lands on Kadar, where we find out, 1, she knows she has the incurable disease, and that's why she stole the shuttle, so that she doesn't infect anyone. And yet she crash lands on Kadar, a populated planet, instead of flying off into a sun. And 2, the Rokar find her and somehow know she has this incurable disease and want to make a weapon out of it. I say somehow know she has the disease because if they didn't, they would have shot her on sight. We are then given the easiest choice in the game. Let the Rokar, who Sam says has a piece of the disease now, go, and he'll let her live, or kill him and he will kill her. It's not a choice.
So be it!
And that's how it ends. You don't burn the bodies, you don't speak to the guy who snuck her in, you don't quarantine the Nexus to see if anyone else has this contagious disease. It just ends like every other throwaway side quest. But this isn't just another throwaway side quest. This is the single biggest threat we see in this game. Even if the Archon used the Meridian to destroy all the planets, we could still fight him until the end. But if even one person has this disease without us finding out about it, we are all dead. We've lived through a pandemic. We know what it's like. Once someone has it, we all do. The writers of this game just write things without thinking of the implications. I have not seen a single quest in this game without any sort of betrayal or complete incompetency. Here's an example. These protesters want to be with their families, but they don't want to wait years until they get out of the cryopods. You have 2 choices on how to deal with it. Forcefully disband them, or bend to their demands and cause chaos for months until we can accommodate and feed everyone. My solution? Give the protesters the option to go back into their cryopods until they can come out together. Most of the problem the Nexus has with troublesome people can be solved by placing them back into the cryopods. It's simple. I thought of it. Why can't someone who is supposed to be a leader of the Nexus, a group of expert geniuses, do the same? Just what happened here? Was the word special misinterpreted on the recruitment posters? Come to think about it, that could be a real possibility considering the recruitment poster also said, "Come colonize the Andromeda galaxy with us." Any real sane person would have walked away. Even back in the day, this bothered me. None of the choices you make in this game impact anything either. In fact, this is the only Mass Effect game where your choices don't lead to the death of a companion or any other significant character in this game except for Captain Dunn, who dies like a joke.
And it's been an honor to serve.
even that's preventable. You know, it finally hit me with this playthrough what my problem with the writing in this game is. It feels like fan fiction. Mass Effect fan fiction. And that's what I'll leave it at. The main character is the vehicle we experience the story from. If the main character isn't likable, then you have a problem. Obviously, following Commander Shepard as the next protagonist would be difficult for any potential protagonist, even with all that other stuff, because obviously we're gonna compare the two. So, how does Ryder stack up? They don't, for a few reasons. Commander Shepard is already in their late 20s by the time of the first game and has a military history. That's why they are called Commander. Because of that, it's not so far-fetched when they pick up a weapon and go on a rampage across the galaxy to save it. Shepard looks capable, talks capable, is presented as capable, and can be intimidating as hell.
Answer my questions and I'll let you go.
Look, pal. Even if I knew where he was, I wouldn't tell you.
Not the answer I was looking for.
I've got nothing more to say to you.
How about goodbye?
Then turn around and look like a dork on the dance floor. Shepard is awesome. Both of them. Male and female. Ryder, on the other hand, looks like my local barista who failed modeling school. Ryder is a kid in their early 20s whose sole accomplishment has been guarding a Mass Effect relay. So forgive me when I'm told that a kid is supposed to bear the full weight of the Andromeda initiative on their shoulders. I ask, what anime are we watching? Sam's inclusion doesn't help with this either, as it feels like it's Deku being given All Might's hair. Of course they're gonna succeed. They've been given the greatest power by the greatest hero of the galaxy. See the problem now? Maybe if they were allowed to struggle a little more in the beginning before they got Sam, giving them that power up in the end wouldn't feel so unearned. But that's presentation. What about character? Well, that's where Ryder fails the most. Anytime Ryder opens their mouth, they come across as stiff as a board or a complete joke.
I'm Anyek Dozil, commander of this encampment. You're welcome here as an ally of the Angara.
I appreciate the warm welcome. It's a joke. To break the ice? Get it? Warm welcome? Ice?
Ryder? No.
You bypassed that security. How is that possible? An alien?
I'm Ryder, Pathfinder with the Andromeda Initiative, from the Milky Way galaxy.
That does not explain how or why you are able to operate the remnant doors.
Jarl, what are you doing here, in the company of these people?
Kieran, this is Pathfinder Ryder, from a long way away. Ryder, Kieran Dowles, lead scientist at Dar Panev.
I am honored to meet you, as a representative of the Andromeda Initiative.
Are all their people this formal?
I don't think so.
Cat ships, a dozen. No, more.
They've got us pinned against the Scourge.
They are scanning us, Pathfinder.
Well, scan them back.
Ryder, I have almost regained control of the ship. I need a few more seconds.
I actually know a lot about the Remnant. We should compare notes. You start this, I'm gonna finish it.
Yeah? You what army?
I don't need an army. I've got a Krogan.
he said it! He said it!
Just how am I supposed to roleplay in this role-playing game if my character keeps hijacking what I'm trying to say to talk like a clown? Alright, but what about emotional moments? Not much better. Sister stuck in a coma? Nothing. Father just died? Nothing. Ryder sounds bored.
Sarah's fine. Her vitals are strong, but the revival procedure was interrupted.
I don't like the sound of that.
Don't worry. It just means the process could take a bit longer than usual. Sam?
My connection to Sarah's implant was suspended. However, her pulse, respiration, and brain activity are all normal.
To be on the safe side, we'll need to keep her in a low-level coma for a while, then let her body regain consciousness naturally. She'll be fine.
Glad to hear it.
Is Ryder at least a charismatic leader? No. This is the only Bioware game I know where your crew walks out on you when you're still talking to them.
PB, Drac, see Lexi for a physical. Good meeting, everyone.
It's a running joke too. The game knows.
Anyway, get Callow the nav points for both Eladin and that potential Turian Golden World. We want all our options ready to go. Hey, I didn't say dismissed or meeting adjourned or anything. Meeting adjourned. As you were.
There's this one quest where you save the colony on Eos from a Rokar raid. Ryder then offers to make a speech to the people of the colony, only for a random grunt to come along and completely dismiss what Ryder said. The mayor of that colony then fires back with a speech of his own.
Time and time again, you've shown yourselves competent, and this was no exception. The infrastructure you've built, the skills you've developed, despite adversity, you remain a model for the cluster.
So, when do we get back to work?
No approval asked or expected. We lose sometimes, but if they have the choice to keep going, they'll take it. This wasn't a good day, but it was another day. You gave them that. Your people, Ryder.
Ooh, what a loser! That's who this game wants you to take seriously. This clown. But they aren't the only one. Let's talk about Ryder's foil, the Archon. What else can I say about him that you haven't already gathered from what I've shown you already? Not much. He's just a stereotype, which maybe makes him a good counterpart to Ryder. They're both cardboard cutouts. But if I had to give you an example, he's like Steppenwolf from the Justice League movie. Don't remember who that is? That's my point. It really gets bad with him at the end when he has Ryder 2 captured, because any line thrown at him becomes a childish insult.
It arrives. This attempt to rival me is no longer amusing, Pathfinder.
Hey, Scott. Get my clues?
Pretty clear path, Sarah.
He was distracted. Likes the sound of his own voice.
Why should I take him seriously if the game itself doesn't? And that's all I can say about him, which is more than most can. Does he at least have any memorable standout evil minions? Not really. Every single cat I've seen aside from 2 of them can be described as a mute putty from the Power Rangers. But that's an insult to the putties. At least they were funny. But there are no memorable characters at all in this game. Sure, it tries a few times, like with this sneaky guy from Kadara. I don't remember the name of, but it really wants you to like him for some reason. I just don't care. The other is Joel, the new alien on the block, and he's fine. I've got nothing bad to say about him, but nothing much either. My personal favorite character has to be Thrax though, but that's not fair. He's a Krogan companion. Of course I'm going to like him. Krogan companions are awesome. Least favorite, anyone who's a Nexus leader, or Tan and Addison to be exact. The only reason they exist is to be opposition for Ryder to triumph against before the Archon shows up. Then they just evolve into pointless, weak-willed idiots. Especially Tan.
Your investigation complicated this. You should take responsibility for the outcome. Do we still exile him for murder?
He intended to kill the chief. He pulled the trigger, believed he'd done it. Banish him.
Agreed. Sometimes we must rule with our hearts.
But at least they had a role to play. Liam, Vetra, and Cora are basically pointless towards the plot. Thrax had one thing with the captured Krogans, but PB, she had the most potential as a companion, as the remnant expert. But Sam's inclusion into the story destroys that, making her pointless. And I say that as a hater of PB. There are no plot-relevant characters besides Ryder and the Archon. Maybe Ryder too, but they're placed in a coma for most of the game. There is no elusive man-like character that can drive the plot forwards. The closest thing we get is the Mon Shea, and that's only until she brings us to Aya's vault. And I think that's a shame. Stories are made with characters conflicting off of each other. And speaking of inner character conflict, there is a surprising lack of it between Ryder's crew and Ryder himself for that matter, even with the potential for some. Ryder gets made the Pathfinder instead of Cora, who is supposed to be the Pathfinder. Nothing ever comes from that, but a single line of dialogue.
I know it's not the same, but I'm a good listener.
I hope you're as good at being Pathfinder. I prepped for years as your father's second. Then he chooses you? An untrained Pathfinder and all this mess to fix? The hell was he thinking?
Is this going to be a problem, Cora?
I don't want a rival. Just answers. It's done. Best I can do now is be your second. Keep your father's mission alive.
There is no Jack versus Miranda or Legion versus Tully moments to be seen for the crew. The most we get is Kahlo and Gil, two of the ship's personnel. But who cares about personnel? It's the characters who we take with us into combat that we care about. But let's just forget about any of that. Mass Effect was never about those things, because what Mass Effect was truly about was banging aliens! That's right, romance!
Wanna fool around?
That'll be fun. Whoa. Oh, steady.
Thanks.
Better I know how to get my hands on them. With me around, your crew's going to be at their best. We've been failing for months, Ryder. Now that we have you, we have a chance out here.
Wow, that's some laser focus.
Yeah? Is it too much? Some people get intimidated.
We need that sort of drive. I just hope I can keep up.
You left your home to cross dark space. Is it true you can never go back?
Yeah, this is home now.
To take such a risk and give up your old life, why did you do it?
For the chance to meet someone like you. Looks like it already paid off.
Are all humans as quick with words?
You'll have to find out.
I suppose I will.
My thesis on Krogan virility and aggression is what got me in the initiative.
I had no idea. I'd love to hear more. Over dinner, maybe?
Oh. Thing is, Ryder, you're not my type.
What's your type?
Not a patient. I need to be able to look at you clinically without distractions.
Am I distracting?
Not nearly as much as you think you are.
Unfortunately, Andromeda fumbles the bag there too. Flirting here feels more like a casual conversation, and a casual conversation feels more like flirting, which just left me confused.
Did you come out here with anyone? Maybe someone you served with?
I had my fun on shore leave. Nothing serious, though. Sorry, Huntresses. Figure things out. But I was there for soldiering, not romance.
You're not technically military anymore.
Can't get anything past you, can I?
My place in the Resistance is not what I'd like.
But that kid on Aya looked up to you.
Sure. But you are going to do something important, Ryder. I feel it. This is where I should be.
I like having you around. Specifically you.
Because of my skill and knowledge?
Not really.
Because you enjoy spending time with me as much as I do with you.
You do?
You're fascinating. So bold, yet mysterious. So odd.
Thanks.
And I mean it.
Am I just too dull to get it? What was that? There are a few characters you can romance here, but there are no standouts here either. I'm a Tully guy, but even I can admit that Liara stole the show in the previous series. She's part of the reason Shepard's even alive, while everyone else just moved on, including Tully. Here, it just ends before you even get to know them. And that's only at the end, because like I said, flirting in this game feels like a casual conversation. But I don't know, that's from a guy's perspective. I hear Jarl is pretty spicy though.
Mucho caliente.
Ladies, he's single. It's sad, but I think the writing completely and utterly failed this game on all levels. And that's all I can say about it. Let's talk about gameplay next. Gameplay is where things get a bit more new, as it takes the standard Mass Effect formula and evolves it. Whether you think that's good or bad is up to you. The biggest change is that characters have jump packs, making this a much more exploration-heavy Mass Effect than any other game before it. There's a few story and lore problems with this, like how come we didn't see these things in other Mass Effect games if they left the same year the Reapers attacked? Or how come the Jidal's architecture is built in a way where you need jump packs to get around? But let's just ignore that. Combat-wise, you have a ton of options to choose from when it comes to skills, to the point when it's kind of overwhelming for a Mass Effect game. But you can only choose 3 active skills at once. While you can unlock more, I do not recommend doing that, as it's better to level up the ones you already have. In-game wise, it starts off very stiff, as you don't have many options. Plus, you're squishy, so you're not going to be fighting close up and personal. Eventually, however, with enough level ups, it will completely flip around. You become a one-man wrecking crew, and that's how it ends. Even though you can level up to 120, it's not needed, as at level 30, you will have maxed out all your main skills and passives. The balance in combat in this game goes from one extreme to the other with no middle grounds to speak of. It's either you're overpowered or you're hiding behind cover. And no, I don't believe turning up the combat difficulty and turning all the enemies into bullet sponges makes gameplay funner. That's combat. Outside of that and the jump packs, we have the Nomad, or the return of the Mako. I was surprised when I first saw the Nomad because of the Mako's reputation. BioWare has been avoiding it since the first game, and yet a land vehicle made a return to Mass Effect. And it's fine. I find the need for a 6-wheel drive though to be a pace breaker. that, and it's too damn slow. I almost laughed when the game gave me a prompt on how to slow it down, because my biggest problem with it was that the booster gives you 2 seconds of average speed. And while there are upgrades for the Nomad, it's a complete waste of money in a game where you're always short of it. Thanks to this game's research and development system, there is always a new armor or weapon or mod to be built and upgraded, whose raw material cost will cost you an arm and a leg. Why upgrade the Nomad over that? It's not needed for gameplay sequences or story purposes. Upgrading your gear, however, makes you stronger. Upgrading the Nomad gives you nothing. I would be harsher to the Nomad, but I won't. As it is thanks to the Nomad, you can experience the funnest gameplay segment Andromeda has to offer. Driving around in zero gravity. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you get to H47C, you can turn off the game now, because it's all downhill from here. Speaking of downhill, one of this game's greatest failings has to be the Mass Effect dialogue wheel. In Andromeda, they completely removed the Paragon Renegade system, because they wanted to give you more morally gray choices besides just good and bad. That's great and all, but the execution was awful. It feels like I have no control now at all. The conversations just evolve into yes or no, like this conversation on religion. You can only agree or disagree with her here. Why isn't there more options? Is something as old and complicated as religion really just a yes or no question? What if I don't believe in her religion? What if our encounter with the Angarian's reincarnation has me questioning religion and my very existence as a whole? Am I a lie, or is everything a lie? Look at how many options I get with Shepard's supposedly more limited options. You rarely get that many here. It's usually just the 2, but that doesn't matter because Ryder says the same thing but with different words. Just give me some control over the narrative. Like, why can't I convince this AI to cooperate with me?
But your future is exciting. You can help the Angara recover what they lost to the Scourge.
I do not know them. I owe them nothing.
All I get to choose is to give it to the Angarans or give it to Sam. Either way, nothing happens. You never speak to it again. There is no choice here, just the illusion of a choice. This game was also made during the time when EA was really starting to push for microtransactions, and this game didn't escape untainted. It has a multiplayer mode with its own unique currency, which I'm sure you'll be glad to know you can spend real-life money on. One of these packs being worth more than the game itself. Isn't that just lovely? Thanks, EA. I really love my single-player, story-driven games with a touch of pointless multiplayer monetization schemes. P.S. When I started this game and went into the options, it had a data sharing option, and it was already enabled. So, thanks, EA. Really like you spying on me. But that's gameplay, more or less. Oh, right. The game also likes to bombard you with side quests as soon as you land in a new location. But that's mostly just ignorable crap for padding and nonsense. Ignore it at your own leisure. Also, the remnant decryption puzzles can bite me. So, in short, gameplay is overall fine, I guess, if not a little repetitive, poorly balanced, completely devoid of player control, and with a touch of good old EA greed. This game's soundtrack? You tell me. I've been using it as background this whole time. It's not bad. In fact, I think I kind of like it. But I don't remember any of it as soon as it's over. I think that's because it sounds like classic space sci-fi wah, wah kind of music. Mass Effect proper has never really been known for its soundtrack, but it did have recognizable tunes like I'm Proud of You. Or An End Once and for All. Songs you hear and think, ah, that's from Mass Effect. Andromeda doesn't really have that. Music is another dud. Overall presentation is the spot that received the most flack back in the day, and we'll get into that. But first, let's start with the positives. The environments in this game look good, even by today's standards. They nailed it here. All the planets you go to look great. The frozen Viol, the tree-covered Haval, the standout for me being Eladin, the desert planet, that at some points reminds me of Journey. And while none of these places look truly alien, I think that's forgivable, as even the original Mass Effect had the same problem there. And that's where my praise ends. While yes, the planets look good, what you do on said planets just isn't that interesting. Anytime you're in a large planet where you need the nomad to travel, it's just huge segments of just driving past everything without even caring. And other planets like Havarl, the jungle planet, there is so much foliage that you can't find your way around the map without actually using the map. There are no landmarks to speak of. It's just a cluttered mess. As for characters you can find on said maps, there's not much to them. They're just kind of stuck there as if someone glued them to the spot. It looks so artificial, as if you're in a dollhouse. And I think the creators knew this because some characters have this really animated idle animation that makes them really stand out for all the wrong reasons. And speaking of looks, character models look ugly as sin in this game. Especially humanoid characters, for some reason, they look awful. I mean, is Cora supposed to be in her mid-20s or 40s? I can't tell. And no, the looks don't look bad because the game is old. It looks bad because it just looks bad. The Witcher 3's characters looked better than this, and The Witcher 3 came out 2 years before Mass Effect Andromeda. Even characters in the original Mass Effect look better than what they gave us here. And let's not forget the infamous "my face is tired" facial animations. Look at this. Every character talking in this conversation looks like a Muppet. And the bugs were legendary. From "calm your tits, madam" to "whoa." I myself encountered some of these bugs in my playthrough. That or my Clown Rider also triples as a mime.
Correct. Plus, I've located the source of the signal we detected in orbit. It's coming from the large alien structure just beyond Site 1.
That, or my Clown Mime Rider, is also hallucinating.
You're setting up in here, huh?
Yeah, out of that vault. If I can crack this data storage box, it'll help with a personal project back on the Nexus. This is a nice, out-of-the-way place where I can tinker, and I can sleep anywhere. It's not exactly homey, but I like that about it. Not really looking for a home.
But overall, aside from a lack of general polish, I haven't encountered anything too egregious. The worst I got was a 5-minute loading screen on Giles' loyalty mission. That's it, but that had more to do with a patch they released for it later rather than its state at launch. It was way worse from what I remember, and it was the place everyone was poking fun at the most too. I always thought personally that the writing was the bigger problem, but to each their own I suppose. Also, about this game's planned single-player DLC, I wasn't sure where to put this in the video, but seeing as it got cancelled due to its reputation, and the reputation was this, yeah. Mass Effect Andromeda will never see its full, complete state, even though they left plenty of hints as to what it would be. On one hand, I find that to be sad. On the other, it's just another point into not having DLC in a single-player story-driven experience. It should be a complete package from the beginning. If you want a different example, Final Fantasy XV. I believe it's appropriate to end this segment on this. Why does my character look like he stole a cartoon dwarf's legs? Mass Effect Andromeda. Over 8 years later, and I still can't believe it happened. It was such a whirlwind of events, from reveal to launch to eventual implosion, and now irrelevance. It's hard to believe that this was a game with some real hype behind it at one point. This was a Mass Effect game made by BioWare. That name gets nothing but an eye roll and a scoff when brought up today. But back then they still had some credibility to the name. Though hindsight is 2020, and we now know what happened to BioWare and this game. First off, BioWare didn't even make this game, but BioWare Montreal, the Luigi to BioWare Edmonton's Super Mario. To make it worse, Mario and Luigi then competed for some reason. Secondly, they spent 3 years designing a procedurally generated Mass Effect game before realizing it was a bad idea and defaulting back to the standard Mass Effect formula. Thirdly, lead developers just up and left all the time, including the lead writer, which explains a mountain of my issues. This completely destroyed morale and any sort of focused vision this game could have had. Fourthly, EA stepped in, because of course they did, and forced the B team to use a game engine that does not support a third-person shooter RPG. And to top it all off, B team was sacrificed to the crunch machine. Basically, anything that could have gone wrong for this game did. But so what? Should we not judge a game harshly because of the circumstances of the developer? That's just about the dumbest argument I can imagine. We paid full price for this game when it came out. It wasn't some free gift. Hard-earned money was exchanged. If you went to a restaurant and got served a single chicken nugget when you paid for a steak, and you got told that the manager cooked it because the chef was sick that day, would you feel that was justified? A consumer has the right to criticize what they consume as it is presented to them. If you don't agree with that, congratulations. You make for a good shill. All of that being said, this game by today's standards is completely average. You may find this hypocritical of me, considering I admitted I have problems with everything this game has to offer, but it is truly average by today's standards. Back in the day, however, complete garbage. And after the original trilogy's ending, it could not have been anything less than incredible. This was supposed to be the follow-up to Mass Effect. If it wasn't for that ending, it would have been hailed as the greatest trilogy gaming had to offer. That's what this was trying to live up to. Instead, it became the thing that killed the franchise. That's why we hate it. Or so we thought. If it wasn't for that teaser that came after the fact. Now, who knows? If this next game does well, it may save this one. As many people are going back to Andromeda and seeing what I am seeing, it's not that bad. However, if this next game comes out and it's not good, it could tank the entire franchise, not just Andromeda's reputation. And with BioWare's performance in the last 10 years, that's a real possibility. Jesus. But we'll just have to cross that bridge when we get to it, and I am not looking forward to that. But I'm just rambling now. This is officially the end of the video. But hold your horses, cowboy. I have a secret 6th category to go over, and it is now time to unveil it. Mackay's inconsistency and potholes we brand. You have been warned. Click off this video at peril at your own risk. Starting now with the Nexus. Just how was this thing made? The first thing we hear about it is that it's almost as big as the Citadel. It isn't, but it's still absurdly massive. The amount of metal it would have taken to make this thing would bankrupt a country. And that's not even mentioning all the workers it would have taken to assemble it. They could not have built this, because if the technology existed, the council would have made it first, not some random cajillionaire. Moreover, the biggest space station we see in Mass Effect that wasn't made by the Reapers was built on a meteor floating in space. Was there a dock they used to build the Nexus? I'd like to see it. And yet, somehow they did, and somehow launched it across universes. Do you hear that? It's a space station. It's not supposed to move. That's why seeing Sovereign move was such a shock in the first game, because it's a 2-kilometer ship. The only thing the Council had that was larger than that was the Destiny Ascension. Only that. Ships that big don't just exist in Mass Effect. They are rare, hailed as marvels of technology. And yet, the Initiative casually built a space station that trumps the Destiny Ascension, and the Council just allowed them to launch it on a one-way mission to Andromeda. Wouldn't they be interested in the technology? And don't you say it was built in secret when 100,000 people knew about it, in a universe with specters whose job it is to find out things like this. It's just too big to work. Honestly, if you told me that the 5 arcs could combine to make the Initiative's main command center, I would believe it over this shit. The Nexus, in short, is too big to be made with the technology we see in Mass Effect unless the Reapers or the Jadans built it. Is too big to fly across universes with the technology we see in Mass Effect unless the Reapers or the Jadans built it. The Council would not allow technology like that to simply fly off in a one-way trip like that, and no, they could not have kept it a secret. And I don't want to hear anything about Alec Ryder's memories. If the Reaper invasion was believed even a little bit, all the leaders in the council wouldn't be running around like headless chickens during Mass Effect 3. And that's not even touching on the fact that they made it there before the ARCs could. Or the fact that the initiative was basically started 10 years before they flew off. Which means they made all of this in about 10 years. Unbelievable. I can't believe it. Who hired everyone for the initiative? We are told time and time again in this game that everyone chosen for this mission is incredibly capable. That's even what's implied in this little leaflet here that came with the game, that we were chosen. But that's not what we see here. All I see are idiots and traitors, obvious ones at some point, like Spencer, who is so obviously and openly corrupt, you could assume the game was going for a curveball with him. But no, he's just openly manipulating Nexus leadership, which makes them look even dumber for not catching on. Seriously, he hid a Nexus hacking device in his room. Or what about the genius something or another who went missing during the Nexus revolt only to turn up later stealing Nexus supplies, as if that's not a good way to get shot. What makes this even dumber is that she got pregnant too. So good job, genius. Get the kid shot too, instead of swallowing your ego and going back. It's not just random NPCs either. Ryder is pretty dumb too. Before he even has any evidence on Spencer, he tells him to his face that he's coming for him. Why? You're just giving him a heads up so he can clean his tracks or escape. Of course he doesn't do either because, I don't know. I guess Ryder got on because of nepotism. But the holy grail of idiocy has to belong to your crew, who somehow completely missed a band of thieves entering our ship and stealing a whole ass robot. And once more, we don't even get an explanation as to how. How could this have happened? It just did, making my whole crew look like a pack of useless monkeys. I have so many similar examples, but I feel like my point has been made. I just want to know who hired everyone. My next problem is the Angarans. I just don't understand them. And no, it's not because they can reincarnate, though that confuses me too. We find out that the Jadans made them. The Jadans also vanished, which happened about 400 years ago if Sam's readings on the remnant technology in the beginning is anything to go by. That means that the Angarians have probably been running around by themselves for all that time and not before it, or else they would have records of the Jadals, which they do not. Following so far? Okay, so how are the Angarians technologically equal to us? Literally equals. They have land vehicles, they have spaceships, they have intergalactic communication technology, they even have jump packs. The only thing we have that they don't is Sam, and it's a plot bullshit super AI. Did I miss something here? You know, it's no wonder the Archon just dropped trying to conquer them to look for the Meridian. I'd myself too if a bunch of cavemen I was fighting developed space travel in the span of a week. Krogans. I hate the way Krogans were portrayed in this game.
Your history's interesting. How many times did your people save the rest of the Milky Way species?
One too many for some of us.
Marginalized, heroic victims who were betrayed after saving the universe whilst doing nothing wrong. And don't get me wrong now. What happened to the Krogans was horrible, but not without reason. They went to war with effectively the entire universe in order to colonize and expand. That's just what Krogans do. Before they were even discovered by the Salarians, they were almost wiped out due to territorial conflict. The Krogan rebellions lasted decades against a species that lives 600 to 1,000 years, reproduce like rabbits, are natural-born fighters, can eat anything, survive anywhere, and don't know the meaning of quit. What other option did they have but to neuter them? They didn't. It was that or fight them until the end, and that would not have ended well. But here they are the victims, the oppressed, the intellectual leaders, the heroes who saved the Milky Way galaxy thousands of times whilst ignoring everything that they did leading up to the betrayal. The Krogan rite of passage involves a Krogan child fighting a giant sandworm. If they can survive, they are accepted by a clan. If they don't, they die. That sums up Krogans to a T. Powerful savages who are better off on your side than against you, or not at all. And that's why Krogans are awesome. Well, that's all I had on my mind. Not much, really. Should make for a short video. Video's over. Mackai Lorien out.